guys, it's Lizzo here. I'm going to talk as much as possible and think as little as possible. I have had this kind of inexplicable urge to make a vlog about mental health for a really long time now. Like, it's been a number of weeks, like many weeks. And so I'm just gonna kind of go with it, and I think I've been putting it off so long because I've been having so many like random crazy thoughts that none of it turned into a coherent video. So I was like, I don't know what to do with these thoughts I'm having, but I'm going to try now. So I have finally collected and made a list of just a lot of things I've been thinking, a lot of stories I've been thinking about regarding my personal health. I don't know who needs to hear this, but hopefully somebody does, because I've just like, it's been unable to get out of my mind. And so like, here's some stories and some things that I've learned for myself. Hopefully that means something to anybody. Hopefully someone can gain something from this, because I've been unable to stop thinking about it. So I have my like, I've got like a t-shirt and jazz pants on. I've got my little blanket going on. I don't know. I just feel like I want this video to be raw and exposed, because I'm actually about to like kind of spill some real tea that I like haven't admitted out loud a lot. So I'm just like, we're just kind of seeing each other for who we are right now, which is a hard thing for me to do in a really weird way. Okay, so first of all, I kind of want to talk about what made it so hard for me to admit that I had anxiety and depression for so long in my life. Like, what made that so hard for me to admit for so long in my life. I finally, like, concrete, no going back, like, no being like, oh, I think I have anxiety, or oh, just kidding, I don't, it was just this. Like, no more of that. That happened when I was no, I was 20. Guys, I am 21 years old right now, and I was 20 when I was like, okay, I concrete have anxiety. That's something I have to live with. I have to live with the fact that I have that, because I will not get better if I don't admit that. Like, if you keep ignoring a problem, then like, it's not like it's just like, oh, it'll shrivel and die. No, that's not how it works. And I like actually kind of, this is like a little, ooh, this is a scary video for me to make. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys about it. But I want to explain why I had such a hard time admitting that. So I've never seriously dated a guy. I think you guys know that about me. I've never been in a serious relationship, but I have casually dated. Very casually, but I've casually dated a few people. One guy that I casually dated, so this was around one of my big discovery periods where I was like really coming to terms with it. The time that I was like dating this guy, and everyone was like, are they dating? And we were like, no, but we like were. I just remember I became aware of it because I read a lot of stuff on the internet that like I thought was normal and was apparently symptoms of social anxiety. And I was like, everyone doesn't do that. And so like, I remember, like, I was just like, I really think I have social anxiety, you know? This guy that I was dating, we had a friend group, and one of our friends, like, we were texting in the group chat, and he and I would text every day, like all day, every day. While I'm here, teenagers, I like just want to give you my friendly reminder that like dating when you're like a child, like when you're a legal child, I know you guys aren't like tiny children, but like when you're a legal child, like dating is not a good idea. Like, just dating around, like going on dates with friends and like stuff like that, like is a good idea, like to practice for when dating is later in life. But like, dating like seriously is just not a good idea. I'll leave it at that. He and I were like texting on our own, and then we were also texting like in our friend group chat, and one of our friends was talking about how this person had depression, and even said to me, Lizzo, like, I know you wrote a blog post about depression a little while ago, it was really good. And I was like, thanks. It wasn't about my own, because I hadn't yet admitted that about myself. My friends talking in the group chat, and like, we're talking about this friend that has depression, and we wanna help this person. Of course I do. And this guy that I'm dating, this is not to shade anyone, I love this man. He's like still a friend of mine, like no shade at all. This is not to shade him, but like, I'm just gonna tell the truth. Like, this is not to shade him, but it's also to tell the truth. He was like, I don't know, like stuff like depression, like I think it's kind of all in their head. And I was like, how can you, I didn't get that. I was like, how can you say that? I was like, that's like a real thing that affects real people. Like people like go to doctors for that. Like how can you say that's all in their head? You know, like biologically, like that can be like a really hard thing on someone, dude. Like how can you just say that? And he was like, well, if you think about it, if you're feeling sad, you can listen to a happy song and it can make you feel happy. He's like, so like even if it is about the chemicals in our brain, because like that was my argument, I was like, that's like it has to do with like a chemical imbalance. Like mental illnesses are very, very physical a lot of the time. Probably most of the time. Like they're very physical. I was like, so like how can you just say it's all in their head? Like it's a very physical thing. And he was like, you know, like you can listen to a happy song and it'll make you happy. Like I just don't know about that. And I was like, well, some people's bodies make it harder on them to make themselves happy. I would like to say that like yes, like stuff like that helps for like things like depression, but like some people's bodies are made that it's harder for them to do that. Or some people have experienced traumas that make it harder for them to do that, or like whatever the cause of your depression is, like sometimes there's something that makes it harder for that to happen. Because it's true that that can happen, but sometimes it's made harder. I hate to say this, this is not to shade. This is not to shade. We have made up since then. Like, we have made up since this time in my life. This was years ago, okay? I just want to throw that out there. And this is something I had a hard time admitting for many years, but I remember in the moment, in that little friendship, are we dating thing, like, being, like, actively admitting to myself in my own mind that I was being emotionally abused. And not necessarily for that reason. Like, I'm not here to talk about him, I'm here to talk about mental health. But, like, I like knew that that was an emotionally abusive situation that I was in. Like it was just not a good time. And I even remember like being very aware but not wanting to admit this, and I hate this so much, that he was the reason. This is not to shade him. He was the reason that I like was coming to terms with a lot of this anxiety and a lot of this depression. It was very severe at that time because he was bringing a lot of it up for me. And so I think that and like him not even believing in it and just the general badness of our relationship definitely affected my perspective on things, of me like not wanting to admit that I had anxiety, because he didn't view people like as that, as like, I don't know, like telling the truth. Like he thought they were like all in their mind, he thought they were crazy, he thought they were whatever he thought they were, but like he didn't think it was real. And so that, I think that made it very hard for me to admit for a long time. And I remember like later in my probably like super late teen years, like maybe 18, 19, something like that, I don't know, looking through my journals from like being like 10 and 14, particularly 14, I really remember that. And like writing about, because the first time I noticed depression in myself, which I don't think most people know this about me, is when I was 10. I just didn't have a word for it at the time. But the first time I noticed depression inside of myself, I was 10 years old. I like remember at age 14, that was like a bout that I got out of. Like it came in waves for a really long time. I remember at age 14, I was having another like really hard depression year, and I remember I wrote, and like older teenage me was reading this and just shocked because I was in denial about what I was going through. I was in denial that like this was something that I faced. And I like was reading my journal, and like 14-year-old Lizzo had written, you know, once you have depression, I don't think it's something that ever really goes away. It just stays inside of you. And like referencing to being 10 years old and now being 14 and like having like depressive episodes again. And I was just sitting there like, hi, my pretty. Hi. And I was just sitting there like, are you kidding me? Like, I was in shock because I didn't believe it myself. Like, I had suppressed this in myself. And my dear, oh, this one's so funny too. I would just deny it left and right. Like, my dear high school theater director, after I had graduated, I still went to their rehearsals all the time. Not to brag, but I'm kind of his fave. He's always like, no one's allowed in rehearsals, except for Lizzo. Lizzo's always allowed in rehearsals. I love you, Mr. Calkins. He would be talking about things with me, and he'd say, so you know how you have anxiety? And I would just, like, stare at him because I didn't know what to say. Because, like, deep down, I did know that. But, like, I didn't want to know that. Because, like, yeah, I think I just, like, felt like I wasn't supposed to admit it, or I wasn't supposed to have it. When the reality of the thing is, moral of the story, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just not a big deal that I have anxiety. but I like had such a hard time admitting it, and I think it's because other people like made me feel like I should have shame for that. Like I wasn't like trying hard enough to be happy. Like I wasn't trying hard enough to like not feel like I'm dying all the time. And so the moral of the story is be careful who you pay attention to and who you listen to. Love everyone, but don't respect everyone's opinions equally. Love everyone equally. Don't respect opinions equally because opinions are not equal at all. It's not to shade, but like there's a lot going on there. Like for whoever needs to hear this, mental illnesses are real. It would be ridiculous to pretend they're not, but I'll get into why that is later. The second thing I wanted to talk about is freaking take care of it. Take care of whatever your problem is. I'm gonna call my hot little self out, age 21, just a few solid weeks ago. So you guys know I just moved here from California. I'm in Utah now, and I just moved here from California because I just finished serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and now I am going to college at Southern Utah University. So I live in Utah now. So I had started my antidepressant, anti-anxiety medicine when I was in California. And so I didn't have a doctor here in Utah. I only had a doctor in California that was prescribing me my medication. And so I had to get more when I got here because like I was running out, but like I procrastinated setting appointments so long. I feel like we all do that. We all suck at like setting doctor's appointments to just take the heck care of ourselves. And I like was going to go a few days without, and I think I even had started to because I was like, I just can't get into the doctor soon enough. I was talking to my mom on the phone, and I was like, Mom, it's okay. Like, she was like, dude, what the heck? Like, why are you doing this? And I was like, dude, Mom, it's okay. Like, I'm just like gonna go a few days without. And she was like, Elizabeth, you have anxiety. You cannot just go a few days without. And like that hit me like a truck. That hit super different. If I had a friend with some sort of physical illness and they told me they were out of their medicine and they were just gonna skip for a few days and be fine, I would have been like, what? Like, why would you do that? You can't do that. Please, like, please don't do that. But like for some reason, because it was a mental emotional disorder, I was like, oh, but it's okay. I can go without my medicine for a few days. When, confession, I just did that again because I procrastinated setting a doctor's appointment again, but not for as long. And it hurts like a bad word. Like, I had such a bad headache today. It hurts like a bad word. I was having, I don't know if people know this about me either, but a major symptom of my anxiety, and probably of a lot of people's, so take notes if you're worried about someone, is I have severe anger issues. And people don't know that about me. One, because I like got better at controlling them as a child, but when I was a young child, it was like pretty bad, like super bad. Like I remember how bad it was. So I got better at controlling it as I got older, but now I'm also on medication, and whenever I forget to take that medication, it's like my rationalization power is gone and I'm angry at everyone all the time. So that's what happened to me this weekend, and so what I'm saying is take the heck care of yourself and just take your medicine. Because here's what we need to understand about mental illnesses. This is for the believers and the non-believers. They're not special and they're not different from other illnesses. That's why when I talk about my health, I don't really have physical health problems, but I do have mental health problems. But when I talk about that, I refer to it as just health problems because there's not a difference. My health problems are not more special or less special than someone with a physical health problem. They're the same. They're just health problems. So I say, yeah, my health, blah, 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 blah. And then people will be like, oh yeah, I guess I have like health issues too, but like I just have anxiety. And I'm like, who's going to tell them I literally was talking about anxiety? Because that's a health problem. And so don't treat your health problem like it's more special, whether in a negative or positive way, than somebody else's. Like, just take your medicine. You are going to be okay if you take care of your problem. But like, don't just not take care of your problem, because God loves you and he doesn't want you to do that, and you will be so much happier if you just do it, because it's worth taking care of. You're worth taking care of. I just feel very strongly about that. Point 3, this one's mostly for the haters. And this goes back to my like essentially just the logic behind why mental illnesses are real. Yes, you are correct, haters. I just want you to understand that you are correct when you say it is all in our heads. It is. But here's the thing, the head is a body part. So just like any body part, the head can get sick. The head can get sick. That's a real thing. Like, it can get sick. And I don't know how else to put it. So, like, yeah, a lot of the things that happen to me are all in my head. I can name instances in which there were things that were all in my head that had happened to me, but I do know that's because I have anxiety. And so, yeah, my brain is literally conditioned to sometimes manipulate myself into being scared. That's how it works. Like, yes, it's all in my head, but my head's a body part, which means that it can also get sick, just like any other part of me can get sick. So, I don't know, just a little food for thought. A story that I thought of that went along with that, I think this is so important. People need to stop discrediting this. I don't think I knew how passionately I felt about this until literally just now. But people need to stop discrediting this. There was a time on my mission, one of my companions on the mission had celiac, which the short version of that is that she can't eat gluten or she will get very, very sick. So one of my companions on the mission, again, this story is not to shade. It's just to show you, like, what the reality of the thing is. One of my companions on the mission had celiac, and so if she ate gluten, she'd get very sick, and it would cause her to lose a lot of weight. And it was not good for her to lose weight. We spent a while trying to get a scale for her to monitor her weight, but just kept not working out. But we had some friends that lived just a short way away from us, some other missionaries that we knew had a scale because I had previously lived in their apartment. So I was like, hey, we can ask the elders for a scale. And so we did. We were like, hey, can we have your scale? And they were like, no, it's mine now. And I was like, okay, great. I'm glad you want sister blah, blah, blah. I don't want to, like, expose anyone. I'm glad you don't want sister so-and-so. Like, I'm glad you want her to die because she can't monitor her weight and know if, like, she's eating gluten. Like, I'm glad you like that. And they were like, dude, we didn't know it was, like, for an actual health reason. So they were like, yeah, sure, you can have it. And they said, I hope you know, this was all happening over voice message, and so, like, with every sentence that would say, I would pause the audio and, like, scream because I was like, this is insane. This is not to shade, like, these people that I'm talking about are some of my dearest friends that I love to death. I hope you understand. Like, this is not to shade. That all the people I'm talking about in this video, I love and adore. Like, for real. These are just real experiences that I think it's important for people to understand, like, what the reality of this is. My friend said, I thought you were just, like, being weird and, like, being, or, like, not being weird. He was like, I thought you were just, like, afraid that you were, like, gaining weight or getting fat or something, and you were afraid of that. And so I paused it and screamed because I was like, what the freak? And then I played it again, and it was a 3-word sentence, and I had to pause it immediately after and scream some more. And the sentence was, women are weird. And I literally paused and I screamed. And we finished listening to the message, and then I told my companion, I know that, because I have men issues, I think you guys know that, I have, like, weird trust issues with men that I can't even explain. I was literally born with it, so I can't really explain it, because this companion was very, like, trying to help me not be so upset with men all the time. And so I was like, sister, I know, like, you don't want me, like, to be, like, complaining about men all the time, but if I don't right now, I literally think that I will say something terribly mean to them. Because I think all of you know this, but, like, for the newcomers, I just have to introduce that, like, I have a pretty in-depth history with disordered eating. That is the main issue that almost prevented me from serving a mission. That has been a really big struggle for years of my life. And it used to be, like, the center of my life. Like, no joke, it was the center of my life for a long time. I feel pretty strongly about it. I guess I know that feeling of being obsessed with gaining weight and being obsessed with weighing a certain amount and being obsessed with not being fat or whatever. That was a rough blow. That was a rough blow. I, like, vented to my comp, and essentially I was like, sister, can I tell him that? I was like, sister, it's not okay for men or anyone, like, this is not to disclude anyone else, but, like, I think that women are more likely to have eating disorders, so men are less likely to understand it. I know that men do get eating disorders. I know that, and I know there are men that do understand it, but, like, it's just less likely because they are less likely to get one themselves, like, statistically. I said, like, sister, he needs to know that it's not okay to say that. So I was like, can I tell him? And so we spent like a solid few minutes drafting a text to this man because I was like, this is not okay, but I want like him to feel loved because I do love him and I don't say anything out of like malintent right now. Like I want him to like feel loved but also understand that that was not right. And so we spent like a solid few minutes drafting a text. I concluded my piece. It was very short, like that made it sound long. I concluded my little statement just by saying pretty much all I said was, as someone who had to see an eating disorders therapist just to be allowed to serve a mission at all, women are not weird, we are sick. And this is the part, this is the moral of the story, this is the part I want you guys to understand. My comp, like, she was like, maybe we should say like women are like very pressured by society to be a certain thing. And I considered that for a moment, like I gave that some thought. I was like, okay, maybe. And then I was just like, sister, no. Like, no, that's not it. Like, sure, that's part of it, but that is not it. That is not the only reason that I did what I did to myself. That's in fact one of the lowest reasons I did that. Well, that's not true. A lot of it was complicated, but I remember like all the time, especially during those days, like people would be like, people think you're beautiful, and I'd be like, I don't care what people think, I care what I think. That was my justification for still doing what I like, the terrible things I wanted to do, which is not a sane thing to do. I cannot excuse myself in the name of other people's opinions. I cannot do it. I can only excuse myself by saying I was not well. I was not. And so I was like, sister, it's so much more than that. I was like, the fact that I look in the mirror every day and there are weeks that every day I look different, like drastically different to myself, that is being sick. I was like, it is not okay to pretend that I wasn't sick. Was it drastic? No. Was I diagnosed? No. Was I hospitalized? No. But did I do bad things to myself? Yes. Terrible things. I have to say it. I was like, I'm going to say we're sick, because that's the truth. It's not just societal pressure. We are sick. So she was like, okay, go ahead. And so I did, and they apologized. They were like, we are so sorry. We didn't mean to strike a nerve. Like, we have friends that have experienced that, so we know how difficult that can be. It was very nice. It was very kind. They're sweet angels. I hope you know that. But that's what I want you to get out of that, is yes, it's all in our heads. Okay, first of all, I just want all of you to know that I'm literally borrowing my roommate's phone right now because my phone storage situation has deceased. And so shout out to Elise for being freaking great. Okay, yeah, but just to put it frankly, stop pretending it's not an illness. Stop saying you're not sick when you're sick. It's stupid. Like, just to be totally honest, I'm sorry. Like, I've done it too, so I feel like I'm allowed to say that it's stupid. 4.4, you can't fight your symptoms with your symptoms. I had a mission companion, another mission story. We had a friend, I've had many friends with depression. This friend in particular, it was a really debilitating case, and I was super worried about how it was like taking over their life. This is a common depression symptom, one that I have suffered from, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Oversleeping. Depressed people love sleeping. I was really frustrated because I was just like, they can't do this. Like, they cannot do this. They cannot sleep all the time because I have depression and I know that freaking kills you. And my comp said, wait, but you said that's depression symptoms, so like, if they have depression, like, doesn't that mean they need to sleep more? And I was like, honey, you cannot fight symptoms with symptoms. You can only fight symptoms with the opposite of the symptom. And I hope you guys know that by saying that, look, there's the girl that let us borrow her camera. What an angel. I hope you guys know that by saying that, I know there's not, like, I hope you know this too. There are not two sides to the coin. Depression is not a two-sided coin. It's not either you are lying in bed dying or you're running through a meadow and getting so much done and having the best day of your life. No. Like, literally, if you get out of bed, like, congratulations, like, you did it. Like, you won the battle, dude. Like, that's some hard stuff. And so I hope you understand that it's a multifaceted thing. And when I say you can't fight symptoms with symptoms, I don't mean like you have to have a perfect day and it has to be really easy to eat, it has to be really easy to wake up, and you never cry, and you never sit in the dark and stare into space and want to not be alive. I don't mean that. I mean that you get up and you took your medicine, and maybe that's all you did that day. Maybe you had the energy to like complete a homework assignment. You better be celebrating that victory, because you cannot expect perfection out of these things, because it's hard. It's hard as heck. But I guess all I'm saying is what I have found to be the most helpful in my life is to just try your best. Because giving into your symptoms will not make your depression better. And I've had so many people say, like, oh, but like, don't they need to do this if they like have, no, 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 no. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get up and take a shower. I understand. And so it's all about just trying your best. We can't give up entirely, and we can't expect perfection of ourselves either when we do try. That's just, you can't fight your symptoms with your symptoms, is what I've come to learn. When I give in to my symptoms, it sucks. It sucks so bad. Yep, that's what I'm at. Point number 5. I felt like over like the past few years, and I didn't connect the dots about this until today. I have like noticed myself gain such, which I've never had a high pain tolerance ever, but I've gained so much more, like I've gotten so much as I've perceived it, which this probably isn't actually true. As I've perceived it, I've gotten so much weaker and so much less tolerant of discomfort. It's been so much harder for me to like endure pain. It's been so much harder for me in the past few years. And I realized why that was literally today at the pharmacy. Because I've been pretty sick today, and I like literally felt like I was gonna pass out, and I was like, I'm gonna have to skip my tap class because I think I'm gonna die. And I was like, when did I get like so like intolerant of discomfort? I was like, when did that happen? And I was thinking about it, and I realized I think that happened around the time I started going to eating therapy. And the reason behind that is essentially what we disordered eating people do is ignore our body's needs and what our body is telling us. So the human body is a beautiful, gorgeous thing. And that's actually like this year something I've discovered a really odd, one of the odd gift from God blessings of age 21 is that I have definitely noticed a God-given love for my body this year out of absolutely nowhere, no cause. It's been the greatest blessing to me. So I see now more than ever, but the human body is a glorious, beautiful gift from the Lord, and it's magnificent. It works incredibly well. It's very good at its job, and its job is to take care of itself, essentially. So your body will tell you when it needs something. But disordered eating is essentially ignoring that. Literally, I don't know if I've ever like said this here. I know that I'm going to have to make an eating disorders part 2 video because it got so much worse after that first video, so much worse, and so much more happened, and so much more was learned. And so I like just feel, I know that I need to do it, and I know that like, I hate to say this, like I owe it to you guys. Mostly I know I need to do it, but I'm terrified of doing it, and I don't know if I'm brave enough for that yet, so give me time. But anyway, my therapist told me essentially one day in therapy that like I had forgotten how to feel hungry. My body didn't know how to do that anymore, and that's because my body was forcing itself to like ignore its physical needs. If I was hungry, I just wouldn't eat anyway. If I was full, I just would eat anyway. It didn't matter how I felt physically, it mattered how I mentally, emotionally felt I was supposed to behave in that moment. I think my body was like, in my mind, so good at tolerating discomfort because I had done that for a long time. And then I went to eating therapy and I learned how to eat like a normal person. And ever since then, I've just like been so aware of my like body telling me things is what I realized today. And I was like, why do I have such a hard time like physically pushing through things now? And I'm like, because my body, like I've trained myself to not do that anymore. I have trained myself to like stop pushing through things and just take the heck care of myself. And so I don't know why I shared that, but that's just an observation I made today that I had never made before. And it was so interesting. I was like, what the heck? Where did that come from? I don't know. But yeah, there's that. I have learned how to actually listen to myself and how to actually take care of myself. That's pretty cool. Number 6, I don't know who needs to hear this. Pretty much, that should be what this video is called. It's, I don't know who needs to hear this. But I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is a story I was thinking of today, and I think it's important, especially for those of you raising children. I have thought a lot about this as I've thought about raising children in the future, because as I look back on my life, I see so many anxiety red flags, like about 1012. Like, I'm like, wow, what? Wow. I'm like, what if I had gotten help sooner? Than like age, how old was I? 18? I started when I was 18 getting like professional assistance. I don't know. What if I had started sooner? This is another story, another mission companion. Again, I'm not saying any names here because I'm not calling people out, but this is another story with a mission companion, and she was telling me about one of her siblings. She was like, Sister Day, I like don't know what to do, like, and she was telling me about this sibling. She said like this sibling has a very like grating personality. Every person that walks in the room, she has to pick on them. She has to get on their nerves. She has to find something wrong with what they're doing. She has to accuse them of something. She said, she was like, they just have a personality that likes to like tear away at everybody. And she was telling me all these things. She was like, Sister Day, what do you think? And I was like, Sister, if I'm being honest, she sounds like she has anxiety. And she was like, what? But you don't do that. And I was like, yeah, I'm on medication now. Because I did like all of the things that she was describing. She was like, but you don't have a personality like that where you just like have to find a way to disagree with everybody. I was like, yeah, I don't anymore because I've been to therapy multiple times and I've been on medication for a number of months. But before that, oh my heck, like, oh my gosh, I could tell you stories, but I don't want you to know that I was ever that terrible of a person, okay? Dude, ask my parents, ask my siblings. Like, I used to, like I told you, I have extreme anger issues that are just under control now because I'm medicated and I've been to therapy. And I like found ways to work through it as a child. But dude, like, it's hardcore. Like, I can get angry at anyone like so fast. It's so funny because I'm like admitting things that I feel like most people don't actually know about me, just because like they see surface me and they don't know that like I've actually had to try really hard to get to where I'm at in life, and that I still have to try hard every single freaking day. And remember that too, because I think people are just like, oh wow, this is perfect, and I'm like, wow, you have no idea. I'm so tired of people telling me that. For the record, thank you. I was like, Sister, I used to be like the meanest, angriest person on the planet, and like I just used to like be annoyed by everything, and I just used to hate everything and everyone. And as I've observed, like people with anxiety, they don't act good because they don't feel good, so they take it out on other people. I like do that all the time. I attack people all the time because I'm anxious and insecure, all the freaking time, like all the time. I love to lie and manipulate to people, not because I love it, but because I am like trying to serve a greater purpose that I think is going to cure my like anxiety, and it doesn't. It just makes it worse. It sucks. We do terrible things. I was like, Sister, it sounds like that person has anxiety. But essentially the point is, things that like you think might just be your kid or your friend acting up, or like just being like a mean person, or just like being whatever. If you're like, dude, what the heck is wrong with you? Probably something up here. That's the truth of the matter. I always thought that, like, I was just, like, a mean, terrible person. I still think that, I'll be honest. I still think that all the time. I think I'm, like, a mean, terrible person. But when I, like, look at the bigger picture of it, it is anxiety going untreated. So just keep that in mind. Think about, like, what can you do for your child? What can you do for your friend? Whoever it may be that you're like, what is wrong with them? Like, why do they have to attack everyone all the time? There's probably something bigger going on there, and you should check it out. But just in conclusion, how am I doing? This has been hard. This has been hard to come back to, guys. Like, so bad. My, like, depression and anxiety like has gotten to the point this year where my mom literally asked me if I needed to come home, if I had to like come home for the semester, and I was like, no, I can't do that. And I'm always like, what the heck is wrong with my mind? And I like cry to my sister about it, and I'll be like, I don't know why I am the way I am. I don't know why it's been so long. It hasn't even been that long. I'm literally 21, and I only like started trying to take care of things when I was 18, so it hasn't even been that long. And I'm like, I don't know why like still like doing this, and I don't know why I'm like on medicine that half the time I'm like, does it work? And I don't know why, whatever, like I don't know why I am the way that I am, and I try not to think that as much as possible, but like I have my moments. My sister said to me, she was like, oh freak, I'm gonna like cry my eyeballs out. I'm literally already crying my eyeballs out. She was like, you have no idea, like, how many people you have inspired to take care of themselves just by speaking up about, like, what you have gone through, and how many people you have inspired in that way. And I think that this year, because people have told me that for a long time, and I think that this year I really started letting that, like, get to me, and being like, I have to be strong for, like, all the people that say they look up to me. But then I realized that that's kind of dumb, because that's kind of not the point. Because I think the point is that I'm willing to admit what has happened and not, like, just put on a brave face and, like, pretend that everything's fine when it's not fine. And so I was like, oh, that's actually stupid and the exact opposite of the point. So I got called out in my theater class today. He didn't know he was doing this, my professor, Peter. Totally called me out without knowing it. He was like, it is way easier, both on stage and in life, to just be than to perform. And I was like, dude, I don't know how to not perform. I perform every second of my life. Like, I feel like I'm never not performing. But I hope you guys know, while I am, like, never not performing, it's a hard thing to get over. I'm also trying to do that in the most realistic way possible, and I've always tried to use that. I've tried to use my existence, I don't know, as being, like, as heckin' honest and, like, absolutely real as I can be, as much as I can be. And I feel like I'm actually more that on the blog than I am in real life. I feel like in real life I perform way more than I do here. So rip at me and at all of you and at literally everyone. I don't know. And something I've noticed about myself, because I've always thought that I liked myself a lot, or at least for, like, a really long time. I'm cool enough. And my therapist, even my mission therapist, like, even said to me, she was like, you're very interesting, you're very unusual, because you like yourself plenty, but you don't believe that anybody else will. But, like, I've been thinking about it a lot the past few weeks, and I'm like, you know, someone that likes herself doesn't talk about herself the way that I do. Like, I'm so rude sometimes. Like, and it's so bad. Like, I project my insecurities onto, like, everyone. Everyone. I have full conversations with people about how much none of them like me. My roommate just got a text from her boyfriend, and his name has a little heart by it. That's so cute. I just thought I'd throw that out. I love her and him so much as individuals and as a couple. I thought I'd throw that out there. But anyway, love them. Yeah, but I was like, that's super rude, and, like, why do I do that? You know? Like, someone that's, like, genuinely, like, a kind and good person to herself does not talk this way. Like, that's not a thing. Doesn't blame herself for being a garbage can, for being, like, super mean, and for... She doesn't project her insecurities onto others. She doesn't, like, blame others for hating her. She doesn't say mean things to people to cover up how much she is upset with who she is. She doesn't... where to even begin? Like, oh yeah, she doesn't get hung up on the fact that she does have social anxiety, and she's like, why the freak can't I just ever get close to people? Why is it so impossible for me to do that? Which I hope you guys know has been hanging me up a lot, because, like, the mission was weird. Like, I don't know, it was another gift from God. Like, I was like, I don't know how I got that close to so many people in such a short amount of time. It was definitely a gift from God, because it always takes me a really long time to get close to people. And so now that I'm back, that's been really frustrating. Like, really frustrating. So I'm like, I don't know how to, like, be close to people anymore. And so, I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. And I don't know why this is coming up. But maybe it's just to say that, because so many people are like, wow, Lizzo, you have, like, such a positive view on life, and, like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how, like, you do it so many, like, what so many people can't do. And I'm like, first of all, I don't really either. And so I guess what I want you to get out of this is, like, because so many people are like, wow, Lizzo, I don't know how you do what you do. I guess, and I talk to people about their health struggles, and they talk about their roadblocks, and they talk about how, like, it isn't easy for them. And I guess I just want you to see this and know that it's not easy for me either. Because I think that, like, those of you that know me personally, I think a lot of you think that it is, and it's just not. It's been so hard, man. But I also know that, like, this is no time to give up. Because I know that, like, life is great, and I know that deep down I am great, and I know that deep down I even think that. It's not easy, but it's worth the fight. I can take the pain, bring it on, let it rain. It's only gonna make me better in the end. That's a Cinderella song, by the way. Give them a listen. I love that. But, yeah, pretty much, thanks for coming to my emo hour. But the moral of the story is that you got this. You can do all things in Christ that strengthens you. You can. And essentially, the moral of the story is don't ignore your problems and take care of them. Because there's no reason to do otherwise. And then you will be happy. And it's hard to, like, when you're in, like, the very bad place, it's hard to, like, genuinely understand happiness. But, like, it's possible. And it happens all the time, actually. It's happened to me all the time. And then I, like, fall down again and I, like, have another bad, like, depression, anxiety, whatever episode. And then I'm happy again. And it's okay for that to be true. You are allowed to be happy whenever you are. And you're allowed to be sad whenever you are. Like, those things are allowed. I love you guys. Thanks for coming, and I hope that whoever the heck I needed to say this for, whether it be myself or one of you, I hope whoever the heck it is, like, gets what they need out of this. I love all of you, and thank you so much for supporting me.